Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be sharing about some of the animes that I've been watching lately. A topic I don't think I've really talked about much on this channel, but one I've definitely grown more passionate about, especially recently. So I want to share about the ones I've been watching and give you recommendations as well on the ones I think are worth checking out. Welcome once again, my name is Austin, and this channel is all about helping you to dig deeper and go further to better understand faith and film and everything that's in between. If that sounds exciting to you, make sure you click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any future content. Now, anime is something that I got introduced to when I was in college. I obviously knew about it beforehand, but really my only exposure to it was like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which, depending on who you talk to, is or isn't anime. So that was really all the exposure I had growing up to the anime. I knew of like Naruto and Dragon Ball. I knew those were popular ones in the US, but I didn't watch them. So when I got into college, my roommate was really into it, so he got me checking out a couple of shows. I remember we watched Attack on Titan when that started up, and then Assassination Classroom is one that comes to mind. We didn't finish it, but I remember starting it and quite liking it. And then we also watched The Seven Deadly Sins together and a couple other random ones that he would have on while we were just studying, that kind of thing. So it's something that I was primarily introduced to in college, got into with those few introductory shows, and then kind of off and on over the past 10 years or so, I've continued watching different series, checking out a couple different anime movies, that kind of thing. But more recently, I've really gotten into the medium and the style, the format. So I wanted to share what I've been watching because I've been watching some incredible stuff, and I wanted to recommend it here for people who either are into anime, maybe either haven't checked it out or have been wanting to, or just to recommend people who have not gotten into the format because it's a fantastic art style and storytelling, all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool. And there's definitely some great stuff that if you don't check it out, you're really missing out on some fantastic shows and movies. So if you've been with my channel for a little bit of time, you might remember a few months back I did a video on the movie Sword of the Stranger, which is an anime film that I had heard really good things about the sword fights and the sword play in the movie, and I wanted to check it out based on that. Also, it's a samurai anime, and I'm a big fan of samurai stuff, so I wanted to check it out. I found the Blu-ray for a great deal at a used movie store, checked it out, and just loved it, and it made me want to continue to check out more and more anime stuff. I've also talked about Rurouni Kenshin quite extensively on this channel, both the live action films as well as the anime. And that's another series I've absolutely adored going through and talking about on this channel. But besides those, I've also watched a series called Samurai Champloo, which is a one-season series. I think it was about 20 or so episodes. I really liked that one. It was an interesting mix of samurai stuff with like hip-hop and breakdancing kind of thing. Like they put breakdancing and hip-hop dancing and rap music and kind of blended it in with the story and the style of the movie, like the names of the characters, the styles that each of them fights in. It's really interesting. It was a cool story with really interesting characters that I like. I didn't end up like being over the moon loving it at the end, but I did still like it. It had a really cool arc over the series that told a good cohesive story. Only a couple filler episodes here and there. Other than that, definitely a series I recommend checking out. So if you're into like hip hop and rap as well as samurai stuff, it's a really cool blend of that kind of stuff within an anime series. Another series I checked out and was just absolutely in love with and really impressed with was Vinland Saga, which is a Viking series that is, I think, streaming on Netflix and Amazon right now, but it tells this incredible story about a boy whose father was this just renowned and absolutely incredible warrior for his tribe and for his nation. And one day he decides he's done with it, he's giving it up, and he wants to settle down and have a family. So he leaves and disappears. Everyone thinks he dies in a battle, has a family, starts raising it, and eventually they find out that he's still alive, and he is tricked into an ambush in which he's killed. This is not really spoilers, it's all in the first couple of episodes. And so the story follows his son as he goes from his adolescence into teenhood and manhood, and just the effect of losing his father like that and what it has on him, the internal struggle and turmoil. He ends up joining the gang of the group that killed his father in hopes to one day challenge the leader to get revenge on his father's death. And so it's all about this inner turmoil of just the toll that it takes, the hardship that revenge puts your soul and your heart through, along with this just great, really cool storytelling of following historical events when it comes to Vikings and stuff like that, but taking creative liberties with the story that's fabricated and the characters, a lot of them that are fabricated, but it just tells this amazing story that I'm just so engrossed in, of just the struggle that this boy that becomes this man goes through, and the effect that all of this hardship has had on him as a person. And so it's really interesting. We're getting ready to start season 2, so I can't wait to see where they take season 2. But that is easily one of my favorite shows that I've gotten into recently, and I'm absolutely loving it. Another show that I think, this is another one that I think we started when we were in college, and we never finished it, so I wanted to go back, start it over, and watch through it again, and that is Psycho Pass, which is a really cool cyberpunk science fiction anime series. There's, I think, 2 seasons and a movie. I've only seen the first season so far, but it's this really interesting concept of there's basically this technology that the government has that's been developed that can analyze and basically discern whether or not what someone's psychological state is, and if it's above a certain point, they are immediately either arrested and rehabilitated so that they can be contributing members of society, or if it's high enough that they deem them a very bad threat to society, they will kill them on the spot. So it's kind of like a judge, jury, executioner type thing. So we follow this woman who's kind of like a green cop into this organization, and it's her journey kind of learning how this system in society works and the both positive and negative effects that it has on the people. So it's a really cool, really interesting look at society, governmental control, that kind of thing. It's got really cool sci-fi elements, obviously, like I've said. So definitely one that I'm excited to continue delving into, as I've only seen the first season so far, and one that I highly recommend checking out, especially if you're like a cyberpunk science fiction fan. After finishing Psycho Pass, I took a bit of a detour into more of a drama route with anime, which I really haven't done before. I've mostly checked out primarily like science fiction, fantasy, action stuff. So it was really a different turn for me, but I'd heard great things about this series, and that's Violet Evergarden. It tells the story of this girl who was adopted by this general during a war, and it's kind of in like a sort of steampunky type society. And so this girl was taken in by this general, and she was living on the streets, so he takes her, gives her a home, kind of gives her a purpose, and she's actually used as a weapon because she's just this fantastic fighter against the enemy nation that they're fighting. And so basically he dies at the end of the war, not at the end of the series. I'm not spoiling anything. So he dies at the end of the war, and she basically has to figure out how to kind of live a normal life. But she had kind of fallen in love with him in their time together, and so she becomes a doll, which is basically this company who writes letters for people, because it's a society that primarily can't write. And so basically people come to them, tell them their stories, and they write letters for them, for people that they want to give it to, whether it's friends or loved ones, that kind of thing. And so it's her learning to relate to and empathize with people, and finding in herself to love again, even after the terrible things that she's gone through as living as a weapon for the past few years, the loss of this man that she grew to love. So it's a really interesting, really powerful story that I really appreciated. There's multiple different movies, I think, that are kind of spin-offs to this too, but I just checked out the main series. I really liked it. I definitely recommend it. It's really heartfelt. It had me in tears a couple of times, which really doesn't happen very often. It's happening more and more the older I get, but doesn't happen all that often. So because of that, I definitely want to recommend it, because I know there's a wide variety of people with different interests out there. Not everyone is into the fantasy, action, sci-fi stuff that I am. So if you're looking for a great kind of drama love story, it's really good and really well done. So definitely recommend that one as well. One that I just finished up a week or two ago was Dororo. And that was another just fantastic 1-season series, about 24 episodes or so. It's on Amazon Prime is where I watched it, but Absolutely loved it. It's another samurai one. So it's about this boy who, when he is born, his father wants to rule this territory that's kind of a like drought, and the land's not producing at all. They can't grow anything. So basically this man wants to have power. He believes that he's destined for power. So he goes to this temple that is filled with these tributes and statues to demons. And he basically says, you can have whatever you want of mine if you give me this power so that I can make this land fruitful again. So he does this, and then a couple of years later, he's this great and powerful ruler. The land is thriving, and he has his first son. And the demons take pretty much everything but the skeleton and life force, a soul essentially, of this baby. And he is just like mortified and horrified at the sight of this child. The mother tries to keep the son, but obviously he's like, this is no son of mine, and just tries to get rid of him. So one of their maids, he has her take him to the river and drown him, but she chooses not to and sends him off. And he is protected by this man from a demon. And so he comes to find out years later, as he grows up, he's raised by this man who gives him prosthetic limbs because he didn't have any arms or legs or anything, or eyes. He's blind, he can't hear anything. And so he's missing all of these body parts. But he comes to find out as he gets older that for every demon he slays, he gets a part of his body back. And so makes it his mission to slay any demon he comes across in order to earn back his body that was taken from him. So really interesting metaphors and thematics amongst that. And then the more that he earns back, the kind of darker he's also becoming because those parts were taken by demons. So just a really interesting internal struggle that he's going with along with his journey as he struggles against his father, his familial relations and all that kind of stuff. It's a really interesting, really powerful story. I thoroughly loved it. Apparently this is a manga from like 50 years ago, and it was just adapted a few years ago into this anime, and I absolutely loved it. I can't recommend it enough. So it's a fantastic series that if that sounds interesting to you, you should definitely check out. So those are series that I've watched recently, ones that I wanted to recommend. Currently, I'm watching a few other shows right now. One that I'm just absolutely loving every single episode of is this new series called Spy Family. I'm watching it on Hulu. It's an adaptation of a manga into an anime. It's hilarious. I wanted to do something a little bit different because if you kind of picked up on stuff that I've been watching a lot of very serious, very internal struggle, some very dark stuff that's really interesting thematically, but I just wanted something that was kind of a bit of a palate cleanser, something more lighthearted and fun. And I had heard this was like an action comedy drama series, and I'm loving it. It's so much fun. So basically the setup for this show is there's a man who's a spy, the greatest spy in their nation, and it's in like a steampunky type world as well, this one. And he's given this assignment of going after this government official who has the possibility of destroying this nation. So he is tasked with adopting a girl and getting her into this school so that he can get closer to the family and take him out. And then he also needs a wife. And so he takes in this woman and they form this fake family for him to accomplish this mission. They're not in on the fact that he's a spy initially, but what happens is, and what is revealed is the girl is telepathic and can read minds. So she quickly finds out that the man is actually a spy. Now he doesn't know this, but he also finds out that the woman that forms this fake marriage with him agreement is actually secretly an assassin. So we have a spy, a telepath, and an assassin forming this fake family to carry out this mission to take out this dangerous political figure. So it's just this, I mean, you can tell just from that setup right there, all of the crazy scenarios and shenanigans that they get into in this show. There's so much fun chemistry between the characters. They all get along in a really fun and interesting way. The girl is adorable. She's so cute. And then just the comedy between them as they're put in these ridiculous scenarios of trying to carry out this mission are absolutely a joy to watch. I'm about halfway through the first season that's airing right now, and I can't get enough of it. I love this show more and more with every episode that comes on. One of my favorite shows airing right now. I also just started, and I'm a couple episodes into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I've not seen Full Metal Alchemist. I couldn't really find it streaming anywhere, so I just jumped into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Tells another really interesting story of two boys who are brothers, and they try to use this alchemy spell to bring back their dead mother. And in doing so, it's like a forbidden thing that you do with alchemy, because their magic system is everything that goes in, or anything that comes out, you must equally put in that amount. So it's weighing the value of a soul. What is it? No one knows. So you shouldn't mess with bringing things back from the dead. So they try to bring their mother back, and in doing so, end up harming themselves to the extent that the older brother loses a couple limbs that need replaced with prosthetics that he creates, and the younger brother, he's able to be bound his soul to a suit of armor. And so the journey of them is trying to get their bodies back to normal and be able to become strong enough in alchemy to bring their mother back. So it's a really interesting story. Like I said, I'm only a couple episodes in right now, but I'm really enjoying it. It's one of my friend's favorite animes. He'd wanted me to check it out for quite some time now, so finally jumping into that one as well. And then third, I haven't started it yet. I'm starting it right when I finish this video, actually, is Goblin Slayer. I know pretty much nothing about it aside from the fact that it's a anime series that's a fantasy series about a guy who slays goblins. So I will be happy to tell anyone more about it if they're interested once I check it out, but that's one I'm getting ready to start very soon as well. There's also some animes I'm planning on watching. I got Chainsaw Man on my list, Cowboy Bebop, Season 2 of Vinland Saga, as I mentioned, the final season, Part 3 of Attack on Titan. One of the best shows I've ever seen. I can't wait for that final part to come out. And then there's also one called Fire Force that sounds really interesting that I want to check out too. So that's kind of like my journey with anime over the past 10 years or so. I just wanted to share about it here, some of the stuff I've been watching, some of the stuff I plan to watch, give some recommendations, hopefully get more people into the medium and the format, because it's just, like I said, some fantastic series and movies. These are just the shows I'm watching for the most part. There's amazing anime movies as well, especially through like some Studio Ghibli stuff and whatnot. Just stuff I can't recommend highly enough. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was just kind of me like sharing my thoughts and my love for this format that I absolutely love. Thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one.